Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you've had a great week. Happy New Year. It's definitely its turn. We've turned an
Happy
entire
New
calendar.
Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year. Yep. May old acquaintance be forgot. Yep. All those things.
Auld Lang Syne. I've never understood that song. I never sang it, didn't grow up celebrating. So I was like, so you want to forget your old acquaintances? I don't understand. Yeah. It always confused me.
Old songs. What do you know? Yeah, they all got
Right?
interesting
Well,
lyrics.
that's the thing too, especially like old Christmas songs that are just
Oh,
weird. I mean, they're just weird.
hey man, don't
And
knock on my grandma got run over by a reindeer. Love
yeah,
that song.
okay, but I heard over the last week or so, I heard that Grandma got run over by a reindeer is actually the story of how a guy ran over his wife, who was a grandmother,
Oh,
and killed her and was using it as an excuse. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
that's I don't know. That just sounds
This
like
doesn't,
somebody. Yeah,
right?
interesting.
Like, this must be what it was. I'm like, no, man. But the problem is, I have what I would consider reliable sources with things. People say things, I respect them. I know they're intelligent. I know they're well worded. I know that they look up stuff and they read, and I'm like, okay, what?
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, I've learned a lot of the older songs from the 40s and 50s, actually, because we've been doing caroling the
Yeah.
last couple of years. We did some Christmas caroling, and there are songs in those carol books that I have never even heard once. And
Yeah.
yet the older dads, let's say my age, actually probably a little younger even, are like, oh yeah, we used to sing this all the time as a kid. And okay, I don't think I can't even know, I don't even know the way this one goes. So but anyway, I didn't mean
Yeah.
to run off on songs specifically.
No, you're okay.
Back to it. Yeah, happy new year. Happy new year.
Yeah.
Happy new year to you.
So yeah, happy new year. Man, I tell you, we have had quite a 2025. So we turned the
Yeah.
page on that. We're not gonna go back there. That door is shut. We're gonna lock the
Oof.
key. We're locked it, key thrown all the way into the abyss. It's gone. Kaplunk. All right. And we move into 2026, where who knows what's going to be coming down the pipe.
26.
So
We're on the worst timeline. We're just on the worst time.
nah, we're just on a timeline. It's all good. It's not the worst. It is the timeline. I don't know that there's any others. So if you want to go interdimensional, go right
Yeah,
ahead. But
man.
I'm not going to go
Multiverse.
Loki. I'm not going Loki. Nope, not doing it. We're not going there. Although I'm looking forward to when they release the new season of that. So that's a whole nother topic as well. So ADHD brain is running on full steam today. But no, I think for me, 2026, one of the things that I am looking to actually focus on is just like the local dads in here in town, but also too at the same time, kind of bringing awareness to like the topic of fatherlessness and that the way that that has just sort of been perceived over the years, and then also too like how best to help dads who are like, I'm just trying to do the best I can with what is being given to me. And there is such a thing as like dads going into spaces that have been predominantly mom spaces and feeling completely and utterly unwelcomed at all. And then
Yeah.
at the same time, too, it's like, how much, how much of that do you want to fight and be like, this space should be involved for me too? And then how much of it is, you know what, like, I'm just going to create my, our own dad space. To help the dads who are like, I don't really want to ruffle feathers with the moms. I just would like to have some of the resources that they have. And I've got a local group of guys actually who, through a series of conversations after Christmas involving what do I do with old toys that my kids don't play with, and now they have a whole horde of new toys. what does that look like? And also, too, what do I do with these clothes that kids have grown out of? And how do I go about getting them right size clothes without breaking my piggy bank at the same time? We had a group of guys who basically are now brainstorming what it would look like to have a actual brick and mortar place to be able to take things like that and volunteer run where dads can come in and exchange things, and then also too, like over time, like it'll build up into some other things. But I ended up actually having a
Interesting.
conversation with Kevin Selden, who is running All Parents Welcome and took over what was City Dads Group and has turned it into Dads Supporting Dads. And so I've taken sort of the idea of dad supporting dads, slapped, our different cities on it, and I'm going to try and build out just that, like a resource hub or center for dads locally. See how it goes. And if it works out over this year, we can hopefully implement it in other cities.
Yeah, interesting. That sounds like a lot of logistical labor, in my opinion.
It
So
is.
I'm
And
glad
that's why
you're.
I'm glad I got a team of guys that are willing to
I
be
was
a
going to
part
say,
of
I'm
it.
glad you're not trying to do it solo. Yeah,
No, I think I would
absolutely.
go nuts if I tried to do it solo. But it's something also too that I've been talking with people about for the past couple of years, and just sort of like a passion to, have a space where dads can get help where they otherwise couldn't think they could. 'Cause I feel like I keep running in still to tons of dads who are just trying to lone wolf it. And it's demoralizing to a lot of them. And also just, it's just a really hard thing.
It's what we're taught. We're taught
Oh, I
you
know.
are
Yep.
it. You have to do it. You have to do it on your own. And we're also taught when we do ask for help, a lot of people make fun of us. A lot of people, criticize you or even insult you. And it could be people that you love and the people that you're in relationships with. We have a lot of men who said, yeah, I don't have anybody to talk to about
Yeah.
anything. And if I talk to my partner, she's just going to laugh at me, tell me to man up, and that's the culture that we've had for so long, that trying to get people to say, no, it's okay. Just
Yeah.
go ask for help. Just ask for help. It's okay. And the reality is that for a lot of men is it's not okay. They're not in a place where they can ask for help. So that's good. And I will say it harkens back to how the National At Home Dad Network got started as a network, how our main trademark, dads don't babysit, moving into spaces that are traditionally and have really always been filled with only moms.
Yeah.
This the PTO is a great example. I don't know how many of our dads listening have been on the PTO. I personally, I can't do it. I can't do it. I got too many other things going on, let's just say. But I'm not great at fundraising. I'm not great at asking for money. Just, I would rather, let's go do a project. Let's go do a thing. Let's go. You need a playground built. Well, okay. Well, how do we get the materials to build a playground? Oh, you want to pay somebody to, oh, I don't know. I can do that. Fundraising is not where it is. But going into the PTO or the playground as a great example, areas where it's always been moms and
Yeah.
being the only dad there, and all of the reasons that we've run into over the years. And I love the reality of it is we have that happening less and less than it used to. Dads
Yeah.
being in those spaces is now accepted, understood. And we can look at fathers and fatherhood as something other than either or only really a breadwinner and an idiot. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what Mr. Mom, the whole thing, it's, oh, how are we going to do this? And I really love seeing it too with younger generations of fathers, millennials especially, have really changed the trajectory of what fatherhood means in their lives, what
Yeah.
they expect and what they will do for their families. It's been very encouraging for me. Of one of the few things in the last year has been very encouraging to look at things like Equimundo. We mentioned, or you and I actually mentioned earlier, the American Institute of Men and Boys, places where you can go and learn about what fatherhood is. And you see a lot of voices saying, no, dads are absolutely caregivers. They're capable, they're competent, they can handle all of this. Granted, it's always been a mom role, and we still have even modern day people say, well, that's mom work or that's women's work. But
Yeah.
we do see it more and more. It's a slow, we're a cruise ship. as a culture. We're a cruise ship. We don't turn on a dime. We're not a speedboat. We go, okay, we're going to move. Yeah, we're moving. We are moving. You can't tell, but we are moving. We're slowly changing course to where eventually we're going to be looking at a place where men or women, dads or moms, non binary, whoever you are, you can be a caregiver. You can be the primary caregiver and you can love and raise healthy, smart, strong children.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Well, you brought up an interesting thing in that when you were talking about the whole like breadwinner, dad's the breadwinner kind of thing and just that whole side of things. I don't know. I know we talk a lot about movies and stuff. Have you seen by any chance the any of the previews for the movie or commercials for the movie called The Breadwinner that's coming out next year
No, I
or
have not.
2026? Basically, it's about a
I'll give it a
mom
Google.
who goes on Shark Tank and I don't know exactly, but anyways, like her and her husband switch roles and he goes from being the breadwinner to being the stay-at-home dad of three daughters. And the dad is played by Nate Bargatze or Bargatze, who he's a comedian. And so it's a comedy. It's coming out in March actually. But it's one of those things where it's like it's Mr. Mom on a whole different level.
Yeah.
Because it's of course, set here in this day and age kind of thing. But I'm like, I've seen some people talking about it and I don't know, it's Mandy Moore's in it as well. She's the mom. It's just one of those deals where you're like, okay, here we are. We're in 2026 and we're going to go back to the whole Mr. Mom side of things and put all these extreme, I mean, they are extreme situations of dads.
Well,
Like, I mean, it is straight up comedy, but
I exactly. I think I saw one trailer on it, but I wasn't really paying enough attention. But the thing that I did see was, and it sparked a conversation in my home, was where he did become, he did the one that's being the primary caretaker for his kids, and he's driving them to school and doesn't know where their schools are, right?
yes.
And that doesn't surprise me at all. I don't think that's something that people really might understand. Granted, it's funny. It's like, how do you know where your kid's school is? Because I've never been there. I've never had a need to go there. This is not any way in my wheelhouse that I would take care of that. And we talk a lot of times about how our partners might fail at our jobs and we might fail at their jobs. And the reality of it is it's not your daily. This is my daily. I know where all my kids' schools are. I know their names of most of their teachers. I will say once you get into high school, there's a lot of teachers. I don't know them all. I would
Yeah.
notice their name. If they sent me an email, I know who they are, but I can't name them off like I could with elementary school because they only had one. But I do think it's very interesting that we still think that this is a good source of comedy.
Yeah. No,
That it is
yep.
this that I would like to have a show where I make fun of people who can't take care of their own children. Cool. That's
I just
great.
want to
All right.
I want one that shows a
What
mom
if it
who
was a
can't
woman?
do it. I totally want
Exactly.
to see a flip
Yeah.
side of it. At this point, the argument I think is there for definitely putting a movie like that together.
Hmm.
And if anybody says anything about it, be like, if we're supposed to be equal, if everything's supposed to, across the board, like why is it not okay to show to have this
Right.
movie here?
Moms
Seriously.
fail at this too. Again, it's how people are raised. Everyone expects, oh, well, you're a mom now. You've had a baby. You're immediately, you know how to do everything. You can
Yeah.
now suddenly, you know how to cook, you know how to clean, you know how to take care of the kids, you know how to do laundry, you have the logistics all down. No, none of that is true. Man or woman or anyone else, it doesn't, none of that
Yeah.
even matters. When you have a kid, you're not ready.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
not
and that's
prepared.
the thing too. I mean, I think you could talk to uh, a majority of breadwinning mamas out there who would
Hmm.
say, there is no way I could stay an entire day with my kids and not be driven mad with things. Or in the case of like, all right, you're going to do a month. Hey, I've got to go away on a business trip. You're here for a month. Dude, there are plenty of moms who are like, there's no way. No, I'm not doing that. Like, I couldn't do it type of deal. Would have
Hmm.
the same bumbling, crazy things going
Yep.
on type of deal. I mean, I know Corey, for instance, is, a kind of a prime case of that. She loves the kids, happy to be a mom, but don't trap her in a situation where she's multiple days with the kids because
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
that's not her cup of tea.
Right.
And
And it's not a failing, right?
no,
It's
no,
not,
absolutely not.
it's the same thing. I mean, you can't, if you're not a great parent, if you're not a great mom, if you're not a great dad, whatever it is, you have things to learn. I've been doing this at home full time for 16 years. I am still figuring this crap out.
Yeah,
Now it's a lot easier now than it was 16 years ago. My kids are also easier, but like I was watching my sister-in-law and her husband with their two little kids, and I think they're probably 4 and 2 or something like that. You know, it might be 5 and 3 now. I should remember these things, but I don't. But they are young and they are barely on the potty and they are super energetic, as most toddlers and most kids that age are. They are a huge handful. Granted, I can look at the situation and go, okay, well, I know psychologically, I know this is why the kid is doing this thing or whatever. Or I know, yeah, we're going to have way more snacks. You know, there's got to be more snacks in
yeah.
the car. You know, there's things logistically that I would change and I could handle. But there's no way that I could do that as well as she is, because that's not my daily. Even
Yeah.
after having done it before, I can't go back and just step right into that. I would screw up for the first week easy. It would
Well, and
take
on the
time to hit that stride, right?
right. And well, in the next page of that too, with moms being the person who would be at home with the kid, like the cinematography of things that come into it or the writing of it is also too that like they sit around and drink wine while the kids are running around doing things. And it's that's another thing. Like if you put dad in a situation where he's drinking beer while their kids are
Mm-hmm.
doing things, like the whole world would catch fire in an
Yeah.
instant for that.
Yeah. How
Um,
dare you?
and
Yeah.
so that's a, that's a whole nother side of things. So just those different perspectives on things
Mm-hmm.
and
What's
and
acceptable?
what's acceptable, who's making the rules on this? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like these you get guys who basically talk down to other men who, are in these primary care roles and it's I know plenty of stay-at-home dads who if somebody was like, "Oh yeah, like you're less than or you're a sissy or whatever for doing this or that's a woman's or whatever." Honestly, if these guys were like not as controlled as they are, would probably lay most of these dudes flat out on their back because they're even more, they're more manly in that way or more stronger in that way than these guys who are just like, well, I can just say whatever I want kind of deal. And so that's the other side of it that's really
Well,
just
and
frustrating to
the
see still.
strength you need as a parent, the strength that it is required to raise kids is just there's I don't think there's any way you would know it until you're doing it, right? It's
Right.
just
Well, that's yeah.
unfathomable. You
Yeah.
like I mean having to go now I have been very fortunate that my children have really never had any major emergencies, we never had any major hospital stays. You know, I've been very fortunate in that. But even just getting tubes in my kid's ear, right? And
Yeah.
that's nothing. I mean, that is nothing. That is nothing. I was on edge the whole time when they wheeled him out in on his little gurney and he's slowly fading to sleep because they've already given him the medicine to make him sleep, the anesthesia, and I lost it. I broke. I felt it inside me. I felt my heart break as they wheeled him out, and honestly, I looked at it and went, "No, you need to be strong for this. This is not a big deal. He is fine. He will be fine." But that feeling of helplessness, and I know you're aware of this, and I'm sorry if it's bringing up any negative emotions or feelings with you, but the
No, I
reality of
do.
the strength you have as a parent to handle the things that your kids go through is beyond anything you can understand until you've done it, until you've been in that
Sure. Yeah.
trench with them. You know, I don't think that anyone is ready to be a parent. I
Yeah.
think you just get used to it. You just build up that resistance. But
Yeah. I mean,
I,
yeah, I
but
think for me, when it comes, like you're talking about when you're pointing out as far as the things that, I've gone through with my kids recently, just the fact that I think for me, I've just like when the kids were born, just on a faith basis, and this is not for not everybody. Like this is me and Corey, but I mean, like we basically, like these kids are our, were given to us, but in all truth, they're God's, and if He calls them back, like I completely come to terms with that. So a lot of times medical things they do not bother me in the same way. Like is it frustrating? Is hard in different ways? Sure it is, but at the same time too, he's been rolled back so many times for things. Like I mean, I guess there's a bit of numbness to it, but at the same time, like before even that, I've never really had this moment of dread. It's like, all right, like they're gonna go take care of him. And if
Hmm.
something happens, then we'll deal with that when that something happens. And so, but yeah, like it is definitely can be, a difficult thing for sure. And like I
Yeah.
said, like my mindset
It's,
of this is definitely not everybody's mindset of this. So I completely
mhm.
understand,
Yeah, yeah.
having that side of it. So,
But it's a
but
strength.
sure. Yeah.
It's a strength, you know?
Yeah.
And again, I think anybody could do this job for a week, right? I really 5 to 7 days. Okay, it'll drive you crazy. It's gonna be demand, but you only got to do it for a week. You can do anything for a week. Come on, you get through it. But
I think
to
you have
have
to come to
done
an
this,
acceptance of it though. You know what I mean? For
uh,
that week. Or it's, hey, like I want to do this. I think if you push
mhm,
against it, it's going to be
that's
worse.
true. Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So
don't
if
fight
you
it.
Right. So if you're gonna fight it, it's gonna be
Hmm.
worse. I think
Hmm.
like in the movie The Breadwinner, there's just this sort of, oh God, like I don't really want to do this type of thing. And you're just like pushing against it. So everything's, exponentially like exaggerated. And that's what you get in the movie. And
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing for even like Mr. Mom. Like you're just like, how do I get back to being the breadwinner type of deal? Like I don't want to be in this position.
Yeah, right.
Whereas,
I don't want this.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're like, hey, all right, I am going to fully accept this and take this on, and I'm going to find the good in this. And yeah, like there are going to be bad days, but there are going to be more good days than bad days, which I
Hmm.
feel like is a lot of the focus and mindset of those like the dads who are in the National At Home Dad Network who have been in the trenches for quite a while type of deal. But at the same time, too, even some of the guys who, when they first get connected with the organization, like I just became a stay-at-home dad, and meet other dads who have been doing it for a while, like them getting to connect in that way has, I feel like it's sort of like that. It unlocks that next level. Oh, okay. It's not as scary type of deal. Or you get the guys who are like, I could never do that. And it's, do you love your kids? Because I guarantee you can do it. You will
Right.
figure out how to do it. Unless you're going to constantly be in an active space of I hate this, I don't want to be here. This is the worst thing ever that's happened to me in my entire life. You're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And even those that have accepted it still get burnt out. It's a hell of a
Oh
job,
yeah, no, I
But yeah, you're
there
right.
yeah,
And
I'm not saying anything
this
about burning out. Like that's a whole nother
yeah.
story. That's a whole
But
nother side.
the strength of humility is
Yeah.
what came to mind when you were talking about it, because Mr. Mom and what was the breadwinner, any of those shows like that is going against in a way what we're taught as men. Men are taught to be confident even if they suck. They just want to say, no, I can do this. I'm doing this. I can do this. I'm an authority on this, yada, yada, yada. And that happens a lot throughout life. But to be able to look at this job and go, I'm going to do my best. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do my best. That ability to be humble about it, again, is a big part of it. And then saying, no, this is what I'm doing now. Okay, I'm going to own it. This is who I am. And I'm not going to tell people I'm a part time photographer and I just take care of my kids on the side or whatever, whatever thing we might have said in the past, and be able to say, I'm an at home dad. This is what I do. I
Yeah.
do other things too, but this is my primary role as the provider for my family. That takes a tremendous amount of strength, in my opinion. That takes the
Yeah.
humility to be able to say, yeah, I'm not bringing in a paycheck. I'm not less of a person. I'm not
Yeah.
less important. And I want to say something that happened to me over this weekend while we were visiting my wife's relatives, my wife's family out in the Twin Cities, is my wife saw her younger sister, who's about 10 years younger than her, dealing with her two young children. And the fact that she has a full time job and her husband has a full time job, and they're still doing all their work for the kids, and they do use daycare, of course, but they still are hugely involved in two little kids. And my wife pulled me aside and she said, I just want to tell you how grateful I am because looking at my sister and what she's dealing with, and I realized how much work you did when our kids were young and how you really made this family into what it is and appreciated the effort, was grateful for the effort that I'd done because we would not be here without me. We also would not be here without my wife, but it's the reality of it that, yeah, this is an incredibly difficult job. And it's something that it takes a true strength to handle. And for me, that kind of was the one of the very few returns on investment, as we say, one of the few ROIs that I've gotten from being a dad is at some point 16 years later my best friend comes to me and says, wow, you really did a lot of work and I appreciate it, you know.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's awesome.
that to me is the culmination of all of the doesn't feel like strength, but the strength that it takes to get to this point and the humility and owning the job, you know.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
very difficult.
Oh, that's
So
awesome, man.
I want to point out one thing, but I want to ask you a question first, and it's about the timing of when a movie came out. What year were you born?
1980.
80. Okay, okay.
I'll
I
be
was thinking
40. I'll be
79.
46 in about a week.
Okay, okay, 80. So when you were 7, all right,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have seen this movie, but a movie came out called Baby Boom. And I had to look it up because I remember we were talking about a corporate mom changing into a full-time caregiver, right? Don't go see this movie. It's 1987. Okay. It's not, nothing from the 80s is worth watching anymore, really. Just don't worry about it. But the premise is a high performing corporate entrepreneur woman who is in the corporate world. And then her, I think, cousin or someone had passed away and she was given their child is maybe 2 at most, 2,
Yeah. Looks
somewhere
like
in that
it.
area,
Yeah.
and how her life changes, where she has to shift gears and she ends up putting down that corporate job because she can't do both and the child needs her. Right. And I remember very specifically one point where she's sitting in the park with her kid at a lunch break and a couple other moms there talking and their kids. And one of the kid comes up and describes one of the clouds as very similar to this, I don't remember what incredible work of art, and they're like, don't the clouds look like such and such's portrait of a raven and blah 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 or whatever? And the mom goes, it sure does. And the corporate mom goes, wait, your kid knows, let's just say Van Gogh, your kid knows Van Gogh or whatever. He goes, oh yeah, they learned it at, blah blah. Doesn't your child? And her response is no, she can't even hold a cup, right? And the other mom's, oh wow, she's way behind the other babies. And she's not even in an art, not even a mommy and me. And it was this, what? How can you be raising a child without doing all of these things for them? But the story, of course, the way we would expect it to, ends up being that she leaves the corporate life. She goes out and she starts her own. She ends up with an apple orchard, I think, and makes her own organic baby food. And that becomes her new corporation. And she goes to even the corporation she worked for comes and asks, hey, would you sell your business to us? And she realizes that success is much more than money. It's about the joy, it's about the feelings, and it's about family,
Yeah.
right? And I will say, again, this is 87, man. You don't have to go watch this movie, but the message that it had, I think, was very powerful.
Sure. Well,
And
I
it
was
did
looking at this.
show
Yeah.
a
Go ahead. Sorry.
mom who doesn't know how to raise a child, doesn't know how to care for a child. That is the way moms actually are. When you have a baby, you don't know what you're doing. Now, you may
This
have
is
had,
she's adopted this baby. This baby is
yeah,
not
she adopts it.
biologically hers too. So
Correct.
that's the
Yeah.
other side of it. But yeah, but I get what you're saying.
Goes
Not
up at a 2-year-old. Boom.
yeah. Well, I think what it shows too is that both men and women are not innately set to be parents,
No,
like right
not
off
at
the
all.
bat. Yeah, that's the thing. There's
Agreed.
there's a learning curve to it,
There really
regardless.
is.
So
But
yeah,
that's
I was
not
actually
the message we want,
right.
that the society wants. We don't want
No,
to admit
no.
that.
They don't want to admit that. Exactly. Everything has to have a winner and a loser
Mhm.
type of situation. So
Yep.
actually, it was kind of funny. I was clicking through photos of this, which, by the way, Diane Keaton is the mom in this, which I thought
Yes.
was pretty interesting. But I see on here where it looks like they had a DVD double feature, like you used to be able to go get in the bins at Walmart back in the day.
Of what?
Um, it's Baby Boom and Mr.
Hmm.
Mom.
Yes, of course. Of
That
course
that's
it
the
is.
double that's the double feature. It's so funny.
Man,
And I'm
man.
just like, now that makes total sense. Like,
It's just, yeah, it is incredible. It is.
I pulled that up and I was just like, oh, this is awesome. And what's even better is that it works really well for me to be able to, snag the photo for that for being able to use as part of the graphic for this episode as well. But no, it is a mind-blowing thing to think that's what's still going on. And I think the other thing that we were trying to get into a little bit, which we never really fully did because we kept rabbit trailing off, is just the idea that there's an article in the American Institute for Boys and Men that you had posted
Yeah.
in the Slack channel for like those of us who are in the volunteer scene for and marketing and things like that for the National At Home Dad Network. That Dr. Anna Machin, who is coming to Home Dad Con, returning
Hmm.
actually to Home Dad Con, and she wrote this article that dropped back in December 10th, talking about just why every teen needs a dad and just the
Yes.
different things of why dad matters and all that stuff. And that to me, like I'll post a link as well for this article because it is very good and it's got a lot of just great information in it. But the thing of being that it's so true. Like kids need their dads in their lives, and there's so many statistics that show just the negativity of not having that in it. And I was explaining to you before we hit record too about the fact that you know there's also this there's things that have been put up against other cultures of just dad being in the house and that
Hmm.
side of things too. And so just it's very frustrating that you would have there would be a mindset of things would be better off if the kids are just with mom and dad is not around. It's just, like, where did that come from? When did that ever be the thing? And the only thing that I can come out of it is that all that does is makes the family unit weaker with
Yeah.
not having dad around. And or a father figure for that matter in the realm. So because if it's a non-binary situation or if it's folks that are part of the LGBTQ community, like having someone who is at least a father figure of sorts that is doing the that side of things, like that's important as well. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I'm glad that this got posted and it is very good. So I will definitely have that available for the listeners to take a look at.
Yeah. And you made some good points. I looked up some stuff when you were mentioning, of course, that's what I do. But there was a study back in 2014 about how welfare undermines marriage.
Yeah.
And just the reality of it is that you will get more money if you are a single parent household. So if you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, I'm involved in my family's life, but me living here means that we're missing out on $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna live somewhere else. I mean, that's just it's a no brainer. But what we also discussed is, and it came up from last year's Equimundo's The State of the American Father, I think it was,
Yeah.
their study, which was amazing, that the reality that we have now, just 10, 11 years later, is that there are more parents the dads are getting more involved. And in fact, with fathers of color, they had a higher number of dads that were more immediately involved in their kids' life than white dads.
Yeah.
And I still think that is such an amazing thing that we should shout it from the rooftops because of I'm just going to be the racist view that men of color can't be good dads. If you're a family of color, then you don't probably have a dad. They're not involved. And that is just not true. But the reality of it is our welfare program, our government, and our benefits have been geared towards
Yeah.
making that the way it is, where you
Yeah. Go
don't
back and
have a
do
dad
the
involved.
Yeah, as I say, if this is, if anybody listening to this, if this is enraging them in the fashion of just like, how could this be? Like, go back and do some research on it because you'll find out just how badly the cards are stacked against dads of color over the years, and it's really sad because you know, the whole idea that now dads of color are, you know, get stepping more into the role of fatherhood, and people are like, it's about time. And it's, to be honest, like they've been trying to be, an active father, but like they have had every freaking hurdle and anything that could be thrown in front of them to keep
Hmm.
them from being able to
Every
be that
obstacle.
person.
Right.
It's not even so much it was a personal choice. It was more of a forced into this situation, and tried their best to, make it work, but realizing, well, my my children's mother and my kids are taken care of. I still have to work to make money as well to live on my own. And so that disconnect takes place because it's one thing to be like, yeah, like I can come see them when I'm not at work, but it's another thing to be able to say, like, when I get off of work, I get to come home and I'm under the same roof as my
Yeah.
kids. Like those are two totally different experiences altogether. So yeah, it's really frustrating, and honestly, I feel like that to me is one of the things that for 2026 I would love to see some sort of bill get put into place where there's more positivity thrown on the fact of helping dads, be able to be in a place where they can be around their kids more. And that it's, and also too, that it's not like this, yay, dad, you're out hanging out with the kids and stuff. We're just parents. We're just trying to take care of our kids, whether it's a
Right.
mom or a dad out there. Like, we're the ones that are just giving care to our children because that's exactly what you're called to do when you decide that you want to have kids and become a. So why does that have to be such a ring a bell from the top of the mountain type of, scenario? Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that's frustrating too
Just doing the
sometimes.
job. Just
Yeah,
doing the job. I
exactly.
don't need a medal just because I took my kids shopping with me.
No,
That is just me being a parent.
right, exactly. So hopefully for this 2026 starting off, maybe this gave you a little boost of energy, just sort of to also maybe like rally as far as it is around other local dads in your area to, see, kind of take the blinders off, look around, like what other dads are there out there that maybe they are struggling and they just need another dad to come up alongside them and be like, hey, you know, I'm a dad, you're a dad. We,
Yep. We
like we
get it.
can,
This
we can
sucks.
do some things together.
It's
It
great.
does.
It's great
Yeah,
too, but it also there are times when it sucks. Yeah.
exactly. We signed up for this. Okay. I know what my parents went through, or I'm understanding what they're going through or what they went through, and now I need to figure it out for myself, kind of thing. So if that's the case, you got this organization, the National At Home Dad Network. There are local dads groups out there. If there's not one, make one in your town, man. Get it started where you can just have that connection. But hopefully this will be the beginning of a good 2026 new year for you. And we'll talk to you all again next week with more new topics.
Happy New Year. Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.